Hey Casey, it's Dr. Scott. I have some feedback for you on your Essay 2 draft. Just as a reminder, the main criteria for this assignment are your ability to put together a thesis statement that's interesting, it's got an argument, and that argument is focused. Also looking at your ability to use details from the murals and from a couple quotes to support your argument. Also looking at your ability to organize your ideas, and that means keeping ideas grouped together, transitioning between ideas, but I think more importantly, having a reason why you've located your ideas in the place that you have them. And then finally, I'm looking at your ability to integrate sources. So what I did is I read your essay, and I have just a few comments, and the comments are just like really brief reminders to me to talk to you about certain issues, so they're not going to be too helpful to you. So I just have like one-word things. And then I highlighted just a few things to mention to you. And since we're on the word things, so I just use that. I think in your everyday speaking, I think the word thing is fine. It's probably just a pet peeve of mine. But in an essay where I'm asking you to be descriptive, I think there's always a better alternative than the word thing, and you use it pretty regularly. It's kind of like a filler, kind of like a pronoun. So you'll need to look for places, do a Control-F search for the word thing or things, and then find better alternatives. And if you have a hard time with that, let me know. It can be a little tricky, but there's always a better alternative. I think you used a source in here, but you're not telling us. So if it's from the documentary, I think you need to let us know where that's at. Give it a citation so that we have it works cited. The thesis statement is a little clunky. It's taken more words than it needs in order to get to the point. So the mural in the Baseball Stars mural successfully show that Portsmouth is proud of the people in it and shows the success some of them had. And Robert Dafford did this by vibrantly eye-soothing colors he used and by the setting. I think you could cut some words out there and still kind of get to the point. If you have a tough time with that, I think a writing center tutor or chatting with me office hours, or if we have time later this upcoming week to work on our essays, that might be a good thing to come chat with me about. Your body paragraphs, they are awesome. The first two are awesome. We'll talk about the other two, but the two color paragraphs are really solid, Casey. I'm really proud of you there. This first sentence here does a really good job of explaining where the paragraph's going to go. The one thing it does not include is a rationale for why you're beginning with this paragraph, and that's part of the organization criteria that I'm looking at in this assignment. I need to see that you can place ideas for a reason. Right now, it just seems like this is your strongest case, and that's fine, but you're not telling us that that is the reason why you placed it where you have it. I really like your reminder in these first two body paragraphs. You give us some details, and then you'll provide a reminder of why these details are relevant to your paper's overall argument, and I really noticed that here. Doing so helps show that Branch Rickey's not just a regular guy. He's important to not only Portsmouth, but to the nation, and that makes Portsmouth proud. Hey, you're reminding us that all these details up here, they have a connection to something bigger. I do think, while this was awesome, I thought the next sentence kind of thudded a little bit. It also has a mixture of dark and light greens, which makes the others stand out. I don't know if you needed that. It doesn't seem connected to the rest of the paper's overall argument or the claim that you're making in that paragraph. By the end of the paragraph, I thought this is a really solid job. And I say it's a solid job because usually, not just because it's about two murals that are usually pretty tough to write about. Usually when folks want to write about these two murals, I'm a little bit concerned because it's been tough for them to find an argument and then support it. But you did a really good job here. Definitely in that first body paragraph. In the second body paragraph, where you had that first sentence in the first body paragraph that really did a good job explaining where the paragraph was going to go, we didn't have that here. And it seems like this paragraph is just about contrast between the two murals. And I think that's fine, but I think being a little bit clear about what the paragraph is going to do would be helpful in that first sentence. I think in the second sentence of this body paragraph, there's a lot going on in there, and I know you're trying to use the semicolon because I'm requiring it. I think you're trying to use a semicolon here. Yeah, right there. In the Branch Rickey mural, Robert Dafford goes into much more detail on Branch Rickey, such as. So you would want to put that semicolon, you'd want to put it right there, such as, comma, the skin color. But what I would say is that, given that this sentence is pretty important, you might just want to put a period there and do a for example, skin color, all that. Again, like the last body paragraph, this is solid. This is really good. What's good about it is your ability to use some detail from the mural and then to go back and say, like, all right, here's why that detail is important. You don't wait until the end of the paragraph to kind of say, hey, this is why that's important. Like, you do it throughout the paragraph, and that's really solid. So good job there. You kind of end with a really awesome idea that I wanted you to talk a bit more about. There's some cutting to be done in this draft. I think in the following one or two body paragraphs, they're a lot weaker than the ones we just took a look at. So I think you're either going to build one or both of them up, or you're going to cut one or both of them. And that means maybe explaining some ideas here, or taking some ideas that you have up here and going a little bit further. I thought this sentence that you ended the paragraph on, it's got a really super interesting idea, but you kind of leave me hanging, and I kind of want you to follow that up and explain why that 3D idea emphasizes the players in the game more. I like to read more about that. I think that's pretty interesting. But you're just kind of saying it, you're not kind of explaining it. So like I said, the next two body paragraphs are a bit weaker. There's not nearly as much detail. There's not nearly as much explanation. And for me, that's telling me that you've either ran out of time and you have more to say about one or both of these ideas, or you're not sure how to take these ideas further, and they're just kind of placeholders at this point. What I would say is develop one, maybe both, but cut what doesn't work. Because right now what you have is really two really solid body paragraphs, and then you got two clunkers back here on the third page. All right, Casey, that's my feedback. This is a really solid draft. You should be proud of it. I'm excited because this is maybe the first or second time I've seen a student write about the baseball murals, and it's not just kind of summarizing the murals, and like, this is a solid job. So with murals that I think are kind of a little bit tougher to write about. So good job. Looking forward to seeing where this goes. Make sure you ask me questions. Make sure you follow up this feedback with some questions or some ideas about your revision. And we'll talk to you soon.